My question is, what type of nickname is Axel? We're not talking Axel Rose, but I mean Axel Foley. Something to do with Detroit, axles for the wheels, for the tires. That's the only thing I can think of. And for this one, he's deep undercover investigating a gang of international munitions smugglers. So, this one, this one, I would say it's just as good as the original. Is it? Is it better than the original? Mm, it has its own unique charm that you can watch it to where it's just that great, but it is missing Serge, who add a little bit of levity to this movie. But in this one, though, they really do increase the stakes. Whereas that one felt more like street level. In my opinion, this one adds more of a Beverly Hills-ish feel to everything. Especially when his one of the cops from the first one gets injured from an alphabet murder. ABC. The stakes are higher, and it does feel like hey, this is more of a true successor to all that crap that was going on. To let's increase the stakes. Let's still have Murphy being the wisecracking, but very smart cop of him doing things his own way. So what does he do? He says, okay, how are we going to improve the character? Well, in the first one, he lied like once or twice about a group that he was going off to. Here, let's have him do no less than, what was that, 6 or 7 different organizations that are false as heck. My one in the beginning was when he was coming in with like a house. So a bunch of construction workers on a house. He says, "Yeah, I'm here." Saying like, "Hey, yeah, you guys take the rest of the day off." And he says, "No, no, you didn't receive the correct plans. It has to be more tilted towards the right." And then it says, "Yeah," it was like it's the foreman. The foreman and them have a really funny diatribe, and ultimately he manages to abscond because he was like, "Yeah, he manages to abscond the building for his own personal hideout." I'm just like, that was just so dang funny. And there's even one, he says, "Yeah, I'm from the Rap Coalition of America," and he's talking to this one guy. I was like, hey yo, and that was like a little funny back and forth. And ultimately, when he says, "Ow," someone in the back hits the poor guy on the head, and he faints. That was freaking funny. But he also does like 4 or 5 other times of just impersonating / masquerading someone from a non-existent organization. It's actually pretty dope, if I do say so myself. So yeah, obviously we get the femme fatale here. I mean, we get, what was her name? Portrays the lady who's in charge of everything. It was actually a lovely lady who's you're in person now, Bridget Nielsen. As she's got the Rush. She looks Russian. She's got the accent, the hair, and everything else. The platinum blonde or bleach blonde, and with ruthless efficiency, they managed to rob a couple of banks with a countdown and everything else. Getting it done in 2 minutes flat. So you can imagine the choreography that Tony Scott of Top Gun fame had them do in direct. And yeah, you can tell this is all over his fingerprints. His fingerprints are all over this, but in a good way, because he adds more. What I noticed was tonally it's still the same with the wisecracking and the plots and everything else, but here it feels like Murphy is coming more into his own character. It doesn't feel restricted. I mean, the first guy with Martin Brest, but without an A, unlocked it. This one adds more of a better, in my opinion, better music, and even to help establish Beverly Hills again. They had some nice shots of like houses and some beautiful ladies, a freaking stunning beach. I mean, this was the setup that I wanted to see in a movie like that. So again, not only taking what was already done before, but helping to increase it. Freaking great. What surprised me the most was we got to see. Remember Billy Rosewood? We got to see his house. It was filled with plants, a turtle, and I think a fish. I mean, it does kind of fit his different character. And some people may say it's like it's not exactly the whole greatest thing. It's like, why is there such a side character? Well, we already have a Detroit cop in Beverly Hills, so let's have like a Beverly Hills way of living, and also have his character growth, which was pretty. I liked it. They expanded on him, in my opinion, enough to which Judge Reinhold feels like his own character. So I don't know. It just seemed to work well. Of course, we get the confrontation with them, and they have kind of an over the top way of dealing things up. It felt like the ending to Commando. I don't know. That's just what it reminded me of. I mean, this movie has its own identity, but it did increase the action more, which I liked. I like that. Of course, you have the two bumbling idiots that are trying to get their way up on the top, whereas Eddie is already there trying to pretty much just krilling / eliminating various members of the group. And when they finally get to the top, yeah, we get to see some action go down. Everything else is what you would expect. And yeah, and of course, the hero manages to get everything done, and the guy gets out of the hospital, and all the alphabet murders are handled, because I think it was like not the female, but some other person that was writing them. I was curious about alphabet murders. It turns out there was like in 1960s there was a crime spree of 3 kids that were had like WW as their name, and they got, well, you can figure it out from there, and that was really sad. And maybe it has a little bit of influence from the girl who knew too much. Another A to Z murders. I don't know. That's just what I noticed. So I could be very, very wrong. If I am, please correct me. But I can notice a little bit odd influence here and there. So yeah, definitely highly recommend Beverly Hills Cop 2.